Hello guys. I'm back. I'm still on the PTS, still putting builds together. This time I have a stamina necro build for you. So, I think I found a nice concept for a stamina necro build that actually utilizes quite a lot of the class's strengths. So, let's get right into it. Our Magicka, 14k, nothing wrong with that. Health, 22k, a little on the low side because I actually opted out of having more health and just to get a little more stamina, a little more stam recovery, and yeah, you will see why. Stamina still pretty good, 35k. Our stam recovery, 1800. When we buff up with our summon, we go up to 2200. Really nice. Weapon damage is, let me check, 3k on the bow bar, 3.2k on the 2H bar. With our enchant, we should be sitting at 3.7, maybe 3.8k. And if you take the resource buff, this should get you to like 4.2, 4.3k roughly. As you can see, our weapon critical is really high, 70%. Just sitting here doing nothing. 70% weapon crit, no big deal. There's a reason for this. There's a reason why I went for such a high weapon crit, and you'll see why in a minute. Our resistances are not really high. If we buff up, 17k spell, 17k physical, it's medium armor. So we're a little bit on the squishy side, but it shouldn't be too bad. We also have 2590 crit resistance. This is pretty nice. Yeah, let's check out the sets. We are running Tooth Row, which is a very nice high weapon crit set. Stamina, weapon damage, also very nice. So this is why we have such a high weapon crit value. Traits and enchants are, as always, infused with Tristat and Impan with Stamina. The other set is Griffin's Ferocity, which is also a pretty nice weapon crit set. Also gives the weapon damage and, of course, the minor expedition and the minor force when we attack someone. Really nice. Pairs really well with the other sets. And lastly, we have Slimecraw because it is the best set in the game. Weapon crit and 8% damage bonus at all times. Really good. Our 2H sword is actually precise. I opted out of running Nirnhound, which I usually always do, because I wanted to get to the 70% weapon crit mark, and because I think it synergizes well with some of the passives. Our bow is infused with a weapon damage enchant. On our jewelry, we have 2 robust with weapon damage enchants and 1 infused with stamina recovery. I felt like this build couldn't push the amount of stamina recovery that I personally wanted, so I actually went and infused a stamina enchantment. Almost 300 stamina recovery. This is really nice. A lot of regen just out of this one jewelry piece. Really good. Let me explain real quick why we have such a high weapon crit and why 70%, because there's a reason for that. We have, let me see, where is it? This one, Death Knell. Increases your critical strike chance against enemies under 25% health by 10% for each Gravelord ability slotted. My current bonus is 30%. And if you have been visiting a school like at least once in your life, then you might be able to add these 30% onto my existing 70%, and you will realize that this makes 100% weapon critical. Yes, that means if we burst someone below 25% health, we will always crit on them. Every attack will be a guaranteed crit. So this is really, really good. That means we have insane execute damage. It it will be really, really hard to get out of this situation if you're fighting against me, because once you're at this threshold, you will most likely not recover from it. Especially if I have a blast bones running at you. Yeah, this is gonna hurt. So this is the idea behind this build. 100% crit chance against low health targets. Really, really good. Let's look at these skills. On our 2H bar, we use Blighted Blast Bones, which is the stamina morph of the Blast Bones. Yesterday I showed you the magical version, which is actually a little stronger. The stamina version has a major defile attached to it, which is also really nice. Um, really, really strong skill. A lot of burst damage, delayed damage, so you can actually combo this attack with other attacks and have them land at the same time. And the attached major defile just makes sure that your opponent cannot recover. And like I said, this build has quite a lot of synergy. So having a major defile on someone plus having 100% crit chance, oof, that is some nasty shit. Okay, next skill is Venom Skull, which is of course the stamina version of the Skull ability. Deals quite a lot of damage. Every third cast deals 20% more, and yeah, easy spammable, pretty cheap, hits pretty hard, has a lot of range. So awesome skill, really. Next skill is Reverse Slice. This is of course our execute. I actually wanted to run the stamina scythe on this build, but you know, the scythe ability, as beautiful as it is, and as it really is a lot of fun to use, but it just doesn't do a whole lot of damage. So I opted out of running it, and yeah, I went with the reverse slice because also synergy. When someone is low health, we get a lot of extra damage on this skill. Plus, it will always crit. Very, very nice. The next skill is Crit Rush, which always crits anyway, so this doesn't benefit from our build really, but it is a gap closer, and especially if you do combos like a Blast Bones into a Magnum Shot into a Crit Rush. This is a nice combo. You can land them all at the same time pretty much. And yeah, you just need some movement. I don't have a pull on this build or anything, so I thought Crit Rush would be nice as a gap closer. Next skill, of course, Rally. We gotta heal. And we actually need the weapon damage buff. And this is an issue I'm still trying to solve, because actually I wanted to do a sword and board build, but I just couldn't find any satisfying way of getting the weapon damage buff on a Necromancer without running either Droking Slayer or the weapon damage pots, or having a 2H on the back bar, or having dual wield on the back bar. I really want to do sword and board and bow, but as of now, I can't really see any good way to build the weapon damage into it. So I just went with a classic 2H and bow setup. I will still work on the sword and board build. Maybe I can figure something out, maybe we just forego the weapon damage buff altogether. Would be interesting. And our ultimate is, of course, Pestilent Colossus, which is a fantastic burst ultimate. I really love it. Um, it is a giant flash colossus that just hits the ground 3 times, dealing massive amounts of damage. Every hit just increases in damage. Does disease damage, so this also has a chance of putting a defile on our targets. And it applies major vulnerability to all enemies hit, which is so good. This alone just buffs itself so that the last hit probably does around, I would say, 19k damage. And it, of course, buffs all your other outgoing damage while it is up. So it is a short duration, but man, can you burst someone down with this? It is really good. On our bow bar, we have Draining Shot as our main CC, and we, of course, get a little heal out of it, which is always nice. And you can use it to do the combo I have mentioned, where you do the blast bones, then you CC your target with the Draining Shot, and then you crit rush into them. Really nice. Next skill is Summoner's Armor, which is our armor buff. And while it's active, it actually reduces the cost of our summons by 12%, which is really good. Helps with the sustain. Not much else to say about this. I like it. It's a really good skill. Moving on. Poison Injection, of course, bread and butter dot damage on any stand build, really. It's good to have. It adds a little more passive execute damage, which also pairs well with our 100% crit rate. As soon as your target falls below 25%, this is going to start ticking really hard, and every tick will be a crit. So really nice. I like it. Next one is Skeletal Archer, which is our main summon for this build. It's basically like the Nightblade's Shade. It's a little guy that attacks for actually quite a lot of damage, almost 3k here, unbuffed. And the damage goes up by 10% for every attack. It's really nice to have. Adds a little extra damage, and this, of course, procs our sustain passive, which gives us 300 magicka and stamina regen. So you definitely want this, and it's really cheap. That is another advantage of the skill. Next is our main heal of this build, of course, Vigor. Quite a beefy tooltip on it. I like it. It can go up even further. Let me check. If I buff up, what's the tooltip gonna look like? Oh yeah, really nice. Really nice. Almost 15k. So yeah, this is our main heal, but you can, of course, pair it with the Draining Shot and get some more healing out of it. The ultimate is Ballista. You can use something else if you like. I just think Ballista is such a strong ultimate, and especially if you have like a blast bone coming towards the guy and you put a Ballista on him and then you CC him, there's no way anyone would survive this amount of damage. It's just too much. Alright, that's it for the skills. Let's move on to our champion points. Nothing special here, just the standard layout as you always see on my builds. Just showed real quick. Focus is on damage reduction, flat out damage reduction. So 19% here, 10% here and there. Of course, crit resistance, really important. And healing. You want strong heals on any build, so yeah. Warlord, Sprinter, feel free to adjust this. I always go with these values. Something changed in this tree, we still have the 56 Mooncalf, but we upped our Arcanist, our Magica recovery, to 10%, 43 points. Really nice to have the extra the extra recovery. We don't really need that much on this build, but I just love it. You can pretty much spam the shield. You don't have to. You can use other skills if you like. There's a lot of interesting skills that cost magicka that you could actually use a lot on this build. So feel free to adjust to your liking, whatever you want. Tenacity, of course, not that much, almost 6%. You get a little extra when you heavy attack, which is always nice. Tumbling, of course, all in 20% because this is your main defense on a squishy medium armor build. You want to dodge attacks. You don't want to take them. This is not a tank build. So a little bit of block because yeah, we need to do some blocking, but it's not a major focus. So in terms of damage, of course, 81 Master at Arms, we go all in terms of burst damage. The rest is a nice split, 12% in Mighty, 20% Precise Strikes. Why 20%? Of course, because we have the 100% crit on low health targets, so we can really utilize the extra crit damage just to get the damage up a little more, because if you remember, our weapon damage is not that high, but it doesn't have to be because we are critting all the time, so we still hit very hard. And of course, 5k in physical pen, really nice. The Necro actually has some penetration passive, so you get a little more out of this. And yeah, penetration, always nice, always good. Doesn't hurt to have some. That's it for the champion points. I don't have any footage of this yet because there's no PvP going on. I will definitely make a video if I get the footage that I need, and I will let you know. So yeah, that's the build. I hope you give it a try. Really nice, 100% crit chance on low health targets. I think a really nice concept build for a stamina necromancer. Give it a try, let me know how it goes, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.